Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Strelko, joined by Adam Eaton. Welcome in to Sons of UCF Live. Adam, what do you think about the new opening? I don't know about that photo of the two of us. I look like I need to lose a few pounds in that particular picture.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could all look a little bit better in our lives, Trace, but it's one of the only photos you and I have together. It's odd. As much time as people assume we spend together, not many photographs of just you and I in the same space. So I don't know. That's what we got. What are you going to do?
We'll need to remedy that. I mean, I saw you this past weekend for the football game. We need to make a note for the next. Are you in for North Carolina?
I'm in. You're a picture guy, though. I'm not a big picture guy. Like, you're one of these guys that you're always taking a picture someplace, and I think they're great, by the way. I'm not a big picture guy. I'm not one that typically. I know what I look like. I don't need to see it anymore.
All right, Night Nation. When you see Adam Eaton on campus,
don't take my photo. Yeah, don't take the pictures. No. But
what about selfies? Not a big selfie guy?
Not a selfie guy. Not a selfie guy. No.
How many selfies are in your camera right now?
Of just me? Or
yes,
less than one would be my guess.
And your kids, they take pictures. Your daughter, I'm sure, takes photos. Right?
Yeah, not of me. I mean, she doesn't want her old dad in her photograph. She wants whatever's going on around her. They don't need me in those pictures. So
all right, I'm gonna take some photos of you when I see you again at North Carolina. All right, let's begin on a little more serious note. UCF offensive line coach Sean Clark, the announcement coming Wednesday, hospitalized following a medical emergency. Adam has the statement UCF released on screen. I'll paraphrase here. Last night, referring to Tuesday, Coach Clark experienced a medical emergency, currently in stable condition, receiving appropriate care. Of course, Coach Frost, football staff, administration, fully supporting him. I reached out to Sports Information just before our show went on the air, and I was told Coach Clark remains in stable condition. And then, of course, updates when relevant. A serious situation for Coach Clark. Our thoughts, our prayers with him and his family. That is a tense situation for him, no doubt.
Yeah, look, it's not our job to speculate. Obviously, really, our energy just is around hoping that whatever the situation is, that Coach Clark gets a speedy recovery, and our thoughts are with his family. Obviously, football is probably the furthest thing from their minds, and ours as well too. So we've had a chance to talk to Coach Clark. Very, very nice gentleman. Obviously, somebody who's got a lot of experience in the coaching industry. So all we can do at this point is just continue to send our thoughts and prayers his way, and hope for a speedy recovery. And, it's a family matter. And so when they want to update the rest of us on what's happening, I think that's their right as well. But at this point, don't want to speculate, but we just wish him well and hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I hope we hear a positive, update soon. No media availability with Coach Frost or the offensive or defensive coordinator this week with the bye week. So expected, we'll hear from Coach Frost on Monday going into North Carolina week. No doubt he'll be asked about Coach Clark. And again, our prayers and good thoughts for Coach Clark and his family. I saw you before the weather delay, second in as many games. Knights, of course, cruising to victory 68-7 over North Carolina A&T. We discussed it on Around the Kingdom, and the Pegasus guys as well on Around the Kingdom Overtime. Put a button on it. Knights did what they were supposed to do in that one, dominated North Carolina A&T.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about what do you take from this game. Obviously, North Carolina A&T is certainly we saw their team on the field there, right? So I'm not gonna take shots at them, but I think a couple things. One, you took care of business, and every week in college football, you're seeing these upsets, seeing these games that are way closer than we all think they should be. So anytime your team goes out and handily takes care of business, I think you have to applaud that. Two, you've got 4 more quarters of film out there now for coaches to evaluate and understand what we have from a depth position. You got a lot of young guys on the field, got a lot of guys maybe fighting for that 2 deep spot, special teams opportunities. So, I think at that point, you've got some film now coaches can look at. And 3, Trace, you said this on Around the Kingdom. I thought it was a great point. The fun is back in the bounce house. It's been a long time, it felt like, since we were all together in the bounce house and the games were going well and everyone was having a good time and the sidelines were all cheering for each other. And I thought it was cool. I mentioned this earlier today with somebody. Stacey Gage gets his first touchdown as a Knight, right? And he's coming off the field. Who's the first guy to run and meet him? Was Miles Montgomery, right? And they're jumping on the field, they're high-fiving, and the fun was back, the vibes were back. So those are the 3 things I take out of it. And again, coaches are smarter than us. They'll figure out how to use that to understand the team going forward. But you took care of business against an opponent that we all wanted them to take care of business against. And now you take the bye week here and hopefully you move on to the next phase. And, again, I quote our good friend Latavius Murray, who tells me all the time, winning is hard in college football. Don't apologize for it. So when you win, don't apologize for it. Take it, accept it, and move forward. And I think that's probably the message for everybody here tonight after, again, a nice, easy victory for the Knights on Saturday.
Running back Jade Nixon, the big story, of course, the kickoff return for touchdown, the big touchdown runs, but all eyes focused on the quarterback, Taven Jackson, getting the start for the injured Cam Fancher. And that is the subject of our one big story.
One big thing.
Is the quarterback controversy ever going to end? Well, according to Coach Frost, following UCF's dominant 68-7 win against North Carolina A&T, there's never been a controversy, or at least in his locker room. As he mentioned, all three guys get along and are pulling for each other to succeed. Coach Frost also rejected the idea of creating another tough decision for next week's starter at quarterback, pending Cam Fancher's health and his potential for return, creating a big question mark on who is starting against North Carolina.
Then eventually conference play, having, like you mentioned, Fancher start, then Taven, and then Jakari impressing in the second half of this game.
I don't know if it's controversy, at least not in our house. It isn't. In our locker room, in our building, it isn't. Because those three kids are all class act and they root for each other and have been pulling for each other even when they've been competing. And you look around the country and there's teams without one quarterback, definitely a lot without two. I feel good about three guys. So, that's a luxury for us. And we'll let them keep competing, but right now I'm really happy with the direction that we're going.
Is it another tough decision in the next few weeks?
No, I'm not going to create that. We got a bye week to think about it, see who's healthy and who's available, and we'll talk as a staff, but I don't think it's going to be tough.
Whether Coach Frost wants to admit it or not, another tough decision could be on the horizon. If we reflect back to Game 1 against Jacksonville State, Coach Frost revealed his initial plan was to have Cam Fancher as a starter and stick the whole game out. Fancher's back injury had other plans, leading Taven Jackson to come in and shine in the fourth quarter. But in the second game, Jackson showed some more inconsistencies we didn't see in the first. And then Jakari Brown came in the second half and changed the game with his game-breaking speed. Now it's up to Coach Frost to make this tough decision on who's going to start against North Carolina.
Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't include that this time. I don't know.
Yeah, a little different there. Of course, we spoke with quarterback Taven Jackson immediately following the win over North Carolina A&T and listened to his self-evaluation of his performance.
I thought I could do a lot better. Just some missed throws and just cleaning up my eyes. But again, I love it because I can go into the film room tomorrow and get better each week. And that's what you have to do.
What did you see from Taven that you feel has to improve if the Knights are going to be successful against North Carolina, assuming that he gets the start in that one? Of course, that remains a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, I think a stat some of the fans have kind of recognized when you kind of look deeper is 1 of 9 in throws over 10 yards, and not all his fault, right? There was a miscommunication near the end zone. There was a seam route to Dylan Wade that for some reason just didn't get there. A couple of drop passes there, but obviously the downfield passing game is something that you hope that UCF can put in this offense. You saw that a little bit more against Jack State. So 1 of 9 against North Carolina A&T. Maybe they were trying to be a little bit more vanilla in the playbook, but I think you're going to have to make sure that vertical passing game is a threat, particularly if you want to have a running performance between a Miles Montgomery and Jay Nixon. So I think that's the one element that was a little bit off on Saturday. We didn't necessarily see it as much in the Jack State game, but it kind of popped up a little bit here. A couple of miscommunication routes again, and maybe that's just getting on the same page, but 1 of 9 for 10 yards and over on throws, probably not the best stat.
Let's hear again now from Taven on how the Knights are using this bye week in week 3.
I think it's a good thing. Everyone gets their bodies right, feel fresh, rolling in 2 weeks, and it gives us time to watch the film on North Carolina. They're well coached. Same defense coordinator I played against last year at Washington, so they're really well coached, and we got a game plan right, and we got to attack the week.
Attack the week, and of course we will attack that North Carolina prep again next week on all of your Sons of UCF shows. We try to do a pretty straightforward show, a little newsy, a little hijinks. We normally aren't so highbrow, but this week we have an author joining us. He is former UCF and NFL cornerback Tay Gowan. You remember him from the Knights in 2019. and again, an author now, which we're going to get into. Tay, good enough to join us on Suns Live. Welcome in, Tay.
How y'all guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. Been a while since we saw you. Before we get into this published book that you have, I want to go back with fans. You had gone from Miami of Ohio to Butler Community College and then found your way to being a Knight. How did you end up in Orlando?
So after my junior year, after JUCO year, I actually was supposed to take a visit to Houston, and it was in a conference. And I decided to go to I decided to take the UCF visit because it was closer to home. And when I took the visit, I love Coach Martinez. I love Coach Hyper. I just love the whole staff. I just love everything about UCF. So I committed. I shut down my recruitment.
2019, of course, 31 tackles, 2 INTs, 8 pass breakups, a fumble recovery. And then you sat out 2020. Of course, we all know that as the COVID year. Remind us why that was with you and your family.
Sir, I sat out because of my daughter. She was born prematurely, and I had to sit out most of that camp to be there for my daughter. So it's like that time, and not knowing like what's going on with COVID and stuff like that at the time. I just rather be no father, so I sat out.
Say, looking back on your time at UCF, what are your favorite memories? Do you have a favorite memory of your time in Orlando?
Probably playing Stanford at home. Schools was there, and it was one of our big games. So it's like we get hyped up during the week. I just had a good game that game. It was my family was there too, so it was great.
That was a big win for the Knights, obviously, on a national stage. I'm curious. Obviously, you go on, you get drafted. You're in the NFL, right? You're playing on Sundays. How much are you able to keep up with the Knights while you're kind of busy? I know you're focused on your craft, but were you able to kind of keep up with the Knights and kind of see where things were going in the time since you left UCF?
Sir, I left behind some some players that look up to me or I invested in, like Corey Thornton. I try to keep up with him at his time at UCF. Kobe Perry, he's from my hometown, so keep up with him. Just a couple more guys, yeah. So I always kept up.
What was the dream when you were a kid? Was it to be in the NFL? Take us back to your first childhood memory of wanting to play football.
I think I was 5 years old, and my mom came home. Like I said in the book, my mom came home with like some helmets and shoulder pads, and I was thinking to her like, "What is this for? Like, what is the helmet on the helmet?" I got like stuck. I didn't understand like the whole sweat and putting the helmet on and all that. Like, I didn't understand, so it got stuck, and I was so scared I cried to take it off. And I think getting over that fear and realizing that like when I was able to play at 5 years old and realize I was actually decent without any like training or anything, I think I wanted to pursue it. And just knowing my family situation, I wanted just to take a positive route to, help my family out. So that's what I chose to do.
You sat out 2020. You impressed at Pro Day. You get drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. Take us through being drafted, what that was like to hear your name called and picked by the NFL.
It was kind of emotional for me because, sitting out, all these things over there, like you might be certain rounds. So I think come draft day, expect to go, in the second round. That's how I was being portrayed over there. So when it doesn't happen, the next day comes, and I'm drafted by the Cardinals. But just that kid inside me as a 5-year-old kid, just standing on, like, I had to go JUCO. I had to sit out at my I wasn't a starter right away. Stayed with the process. I sat out and still just over all that, just being drafted. I cried. I ain't gonna lie, I cried.
Let's say, obviously, you wanted to tell your story in the year of 2025. When people want to tell their story, they start a podcast, right? Or they do a documentary. You kind of went old school and decided that you wanted to write a book. What was the kind of passion and the thought process around deciding to sit down and write a book versus some of the other mediums that are maybe out there for you to think about?
I think being released by the Titans that year when I was sitting down and just figuring out if the team gonna pick me up or not. I was just reflecting back on like my journey and just being thankful. Like if it did end today, like how can I pave it forward? And I just sit there and realize like I put like actual people in college. Like my little brother go to University of Kentucky. Like I said, I put Kobe Perry at University of Central Florida. Just things like that. Knowing like my story and how hard I work can like and motivate somebody to be better and want to do it too. Because I feel like they look at me like if I can do it, then they can do it. So I feel like with this book, if a lot of young men or even women like it's like a motivational book, you know. Like a thing. Even with my stories, there's a lot of motivation in there, a lot of key points from my life, a lot of notes from the NFL too. A little secret.
Take me through your process. Writing a book seems hard, I assume, right? So take me through your process. Like, do you literally sit down in front of your computer and start writing stuff out? Do you talk into like a microphone and like, transcribe it? Take me through the actual process of sitting down and getting the words on paper.
I think for me, it was about learning books. I know how to read stuff like that, but I never just like go read a book or grab a book. So I think that process took like a 2 to 3 month process of actually going to libraries, getting books, looking at how they're made, looking at what goes in, actually reading books and actually studying how a book looks and how you should deliver your book. And I think it took me 3 months of studying. I already know my story, so the writing part went hard. I think getting to getting into somebody that can correct it and waiting on those results was like the long part of it. When I'm typing, I got a lot of misspellings and like all that. But it's a team, is to get a team to help you out with the words and stuff like that. I think but getting my story out on paper, I think it was easy. It was like therapy for me. Some chapters I cried, some chapters I'm happy, some chapters I'm confused. It's just a lot of good stuff in there.
You choose the title "Tested but Chosen," right? What went into the forming of the title?
When I was thinking of my title, when I wanted people to grasp on to relate, I want them to relate no matter what. Like you could be in a good situation, you could be in an okay situation, or you could be in a very bad situation. But you're all gonna be tested, but we're all gonna be chosen. Like we're chosen for what we go through. So that's what I kind of like. It stuck with me. Like, we're all tested, but we've specifically been chosen for that test. That's how.
Of course, you can find that on Amazon, other retailers. You mentioned a moment ago, emotional journey in telling your story, some therapy involved in it. Were there moments that were difficult to relive for you?
Yeah, just knowing like, some people take their trauma and like hide it or put it in. I had to go unlock those safes, unlock them. Sharing what you got, be vulnerable with the world, and knowing like I'm not a perfect person, and even though I made it to the field, it's not easy at all. It wasn't easy at all.
Say, if somebody reads this book, what's one message that you hope they get out of your story?
Like I was speaking at the Boys and Girls Club, I think no matter what going on in my life, that I can push through, and that's what I want to. And that's my message, because I believe I'm one of those kids that got one of those stories where you got to overcome everything. I feel like even if you're not going through a lot like I go through, you can still overcome the little that you are going through, and that's why I want to push in the minds of the youth and everybody.
Have you thought about what's next with your story? Was it a book tour, maybe a speaking tour? Have you kind of figured out maybe what's next after once this book kind of gets out there for a little bit?
Oh yes, sir. I'm gonna do a book tour of all the places I played. I want to do it like that, like a football book tour. All the places I played, and anywhere other that I got a good amount of supporters that want me to come out, I'll do that. Football is not over for me, as I explained in the book. I will be trying out for the UFL or however I have to do it. Probably in November, around one of those times. But I will be back into the UFL to get film. I spoke with a couple of NFL GMs, and that's all they need from me, some good film. So that's what I plan on doing. In the meantime, just being a great father, new to the author world, spread my joy. That's it.
When you look back at your time on UCF, what are you most proud of?
I think just being consistent of like working hard. Like my time at UCF, I wasn't going out, I wasn't partying, I wasn't doing none of that. So just I think just locking in mentally like that, I'm proud of myself.
All right, let's say this book gets picked up as a movie. Who's starring as Tay Gowan? What actor are you hoping plays you?
Probably Lil Bow Wow.
Okay, I can see it. How's your family?
My mom's doing good. My daughter's doing good. She's healthy. Thanks for everybody that's been about her. She's healthy. My little brother started sixth grade football in Carrollton High School. He go to Carrollton Middle School. My little sister's doing good. I think I'm just in a good space. I'm in a good space. I'm prepared for what's next with the book. Prepared to come to Orlando's and places like that to see everybody and everybody that love me. So it's great.
You got to let us know when you're coming to UCF so we can get the word out about your book signing. Again, you'll find Tested But Chosen on Amazon and other retailers. Tay Gowan, former UCF NFL cornerback, maybe some future in professional football, but for one thing for sure, author, right? Published author Tay Gowan. Thank you, Tay. Thanks for being with us on Suns Live.
Thanks so much. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it.
Writes a book, Adam.
You did write a book.
Now just think about that. You asked what the process was. Imagine you sitting down to write a book, right? I mean, you write articles on the website.
I try to write like a newsletter once a week, and it takes me like a month. I can't imagine how long it would take me to write a whole friggin' book.
He's got an inspiring story, and it's interesting how he wants to tell that story to motivate others. That's a pretty good legacy when you're coming through football to be able to do that.
Yeah, again, like I said, I mean, in 2025, when you want to tell your story, right, you start a podcast, right, or you do a documentary, or you do a YouTube series, right, to kind of sit down and go through the process of a book, which is maybe old school at this point in where we are in history, I think is interesting. And so I applaud anybody for kind of jumping in and trying something that they don't know how to do maybe, and they're uncomfortable with. It's not easy to do. So, I'm sure Tay was nervous about this process, but hopefully he has good feedback from this book. And, it sounds like the goal is still there for him in football, right? So maybe our days of cheering for Tay Gowan off the field on over, but we certainly can cheer for him and root him on as he now wades into the publishing world.
Well, good for him, and glad that he could spend a little bit of time with us on Sons of UCF Live. Of course, nights off this week, a busy Big 12 slate. It's hard to figure this league, right? Some high-profile losses that aren't good for the reputation of the league. Jeff Allen has our Big 12 Minute.
Just one conference game in week 3 of the season. It is one of 2 Friday night games on this week's schedule as Houston hosts Colorado. That one is at 7:30 on ESPN. The other Friday Night Lights game is also a conference matchup, but does not count as one as Kansas State travels to Arizona 9 o'clock on Fox. The Saturday slate has Baylor hosting Samford, 12 noon on ESPN+. Number 21 Texas Tech entertains Oregon State, 3:30 on Fox. Cincinnati welcomes Northwestern State, 3:30 on ESPN+. West Virginia on the home side of the backyard brawl with Pitt, 3:30 on ESPN. Number 14 Iowa State travels to Arkansas State, 4 o'clock on ESPN2. TCU hosts Abilene Christian, 8 o'clock on ESPN+. Number 20, Utah takes a trip to Wyoming, 8 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And Big 12 After Dark has Arizona hosting Texas State at 10:30 on TNT. The bye weeks this week go to Oklahoma State, BYU, Kansas, and, of course, UCF. With your Big 12 Minute, I'm Jeff Allen.
Did I hear Jeff correct that this Kansas State-Arizona game doesn't count? What is that now?
That's correct. Yeah. So they scheduled this before Arizona came into the Big 12. So this is technically a non-conference game because it was part of an agreement pre their conference agreement. So they get a freebie, I guess. I don't know how you think about this one, but I guess they get a freebie on this one.
Let's talk a little bit more about scheduling. Swamp 24/7's Zach Goodall reporting Florida has agreed to cancel its home-and-home series with Arizona State, as well as future series with Cal and North Carolina State. However, right now, Colorado, Notre Dame, and UCF remain on the Gators schedule. 20:30 at UCF for the Knights and Florida, 20:33 in Gainesville. Of course, all of this coming because of the possible 9-game conference schedule for the SEC. What do you put the odds at that the Florida UCF schedule stays intact?
35%.
35%. Apparently, the ADs have said that they'll be flexible about the date, so maybe it gets pushed out even.
It's possible, right? I mean, obviously, you're seeing what Florida does when they're playing in-state schools, and I wonder how much they want that in their life. Obviously, there's still a lot of time, to go here. UCF can continue to obviously build their momentum in the Big 12, which I think we all hope will happen. So this may become a tougher game down the road. So give me 35% right now. I'm not so sure. I know one thing. I feel like I know one thing. I'm going to make a declaration right now.
Okay.
When that game happens, Billy Napier will not be the coach of the Florida game. I'm going to declare that right now.
What percent are you putting that in?
101. There's no.
And their AD Strickland. What do you put him at?
Give me 85, because if he nails the next hire, he might get it for.
You think he gets the next hire?
This is his third hire, maybe, if my math is correct. But I can promise you, Billy Napier, if he's there, he'll be sitting in the cabanas with you and me and Brian Peterson and UCF Mike.
All right, Terry Mahajer. Will he be here when those games are played?
What's that first date? Is it 2030? Is that right?
2030 and 2033.
I believe Terry's alleged extension would take take him through 2031. So I'm going to say 65% chance Terry Mahajer is still with the Knights in
65%.
65%.
All right, one more in the reckless speculation department. Scott Frost is your head coach.
He loves us. He's never going anywhere. This is where he wants to be. He wanted to raise a family here, Trace. 100% Scott Frost. Absolutely going to be here.
Interesting statistical odds there. We mentioned the book Tay Gowan's written. You may not see a book in your future, but you're quite the prolific writer of newsletters. You're featured with an article in this week's 365 Sports Newsletter.
Yeah, it's a really great opportunity to get to the Big 12 teams. Again, once a week, you get an article from each school. You get a small video snippet of either a press conference, something unique, or something that particular outlet has done. So one-stop shop. You can get it all in one place. It's finally coming via email, Trace. I got my first email copy.
I got mine. I got mine.
Yours as well. So if you go to 365sports.video, you can read it on the website. You sign up, it's in your inbox. I think it's coming out every Wednesday morning-ish, probably around 10 a.m. Eastern time. You may find it. So one-stop shop, all Big 12 teams, all in one spot. As we get into conference play, there'll be opportunities for you to learn more about the opponents, and perhaps we'll do some crossovers with some of those schools we're playing as well, too. So the guys at 365 Sports do a fantastic job every day on their show, and happy to be a small extension of what they're working on. Again, really great property, great opportunity to learn about all the schools. So 365sports.video. And again, sign up on email. It just pops in your email. You don't have to do anything. It's awesome.
Yeah, good prep for conference play. By the way, if UCF doesn't fare well in Manhattan, Kansas, can we just say that's not a conference game and we just decided to play them for the heck of it?
No, but no one can stop me from saying it. I mean, if I write it in the newsletter, it's got to be true, right?
That's true. You got to use the newsletter, maybe a little misdirection going into a conference opponent.
Everyone's injured. No one's playing. Don't worry about this one. I'll try it.
Look for Davy Belfort to start the Knights on Saturday. You build this as the Tay and Tay show. Tay Gowan earlier, and Latavius Murray, the UCF Athletics Hall of Famer, now involved with Latavius Murray's Knights 24/7. You had opportunity to speak with him. Well, you do from time to time. I have opportunity to engage in some conversation with Tay.
Listen, Tay and I are like best friends now. And so here's the deal. So as part of his new adventure at Knights 247 with Latavius Murray, one of the things he's doing is a weekly video recaps. He's recapping the game that happened prior and maybe looking forward to the game that's coming up. So each week I've been fortunate enough to be able to sort of host this for that group right now. So each week I get a chance to sit down and talk to Latavius and go over the game. All that stuff's always on the message board at Knights 247. So if you're a subscriber, you've already seen it. You kind of know what to expect, and you've had a chance to look at it. If you're not a subscriber, we have an exclusive tonight. We're going to play for you the conversation I had with Latavius today. Not the full thing. We're going to play a snippet here, but you can always get the full thing again. If you go to knights247.com, you sign up. All that stuff's on there as well. But today I had a chance to talk to Latavius about a couple different things, the game, a little George O'Leary conversation. Latavius think of people rooting for the Cows? So snippet of my conversation this morning with Latavius Murray.
Yeah, there are easy opponents, but anytime you beat somebody 68-7, that's very telling, just in terms of like a lot of positives coming away from that. Like, I would say, there's two ways to look at it, right? Are we that good? Are they that bad? But when you're just able to put together a game like that, there's more positives for me in terms of regardless of who you're playing, if you're UCF. And then a lot of those came obviously, in the first half. So a lot of good coming out of that win, regardless of the opponent.
Well, take me inside the coaching staff for a second. How do coaches evaluate a game like that, right? The good news is a lot of guys got to play, right? You saw a lot of guys that are going to be in the 2 deep. You saw a lot of young guys get some run on the field there. But to your point, obviously they probably didn't run the entire system just based on how the score was going. And again, the opposition was what it was. What do coaches take out of a game like this where it's so lopsided in one direction for your team?
Yeah, I think, like, again, look, beat the man in front of you, right? You want to be assignment sound. You want to be taking care of football. And you want to play, smart, good ball. And so I think when you're able to execute, that's what you get out of it from a coaching staff. But then the things that you want to continue to improve on, how you can be better. I'm sure there's still some things to learn on the tape. And so, again, the opponent matters. But in that case, man, you have to coach them up based on who you're playing in that week. And so a lot of good that comes out of that for those coaches, but then I'm sure a few things that they can continue to work on and improve on.
I wrote down a question for you. I was going to ask you who impressed you the most, and I crossed it off and I wrote next to it, I'm an idiot, because there's no chance you don't tell me Jaden Nixon, right? You're a running back. You love running backs. Jaden. There's no chance on earth that you're not going to tell me Jaden Nixon impressed you on Saturday.
Of course, man. The man was a complete game changer. And I think you guys asked me the question last week, man, 2 carries for -6 yards. Like, what's going on in his head? What does he need to hear going forward? Well, it sounded like he knew just what to, tell himself. And it's a long season, but to shake back and bounce back in that fashion was just ridiculous. Super happy for him, though, but he was explosive. I mean, his speed really, jumped out on the screen this past week. He set the game off, set the tone with the return out the gate. And then obviously every time he touched the ball, he had 4 carries for 156. That's 39 yards average. Just ridiculous. So he definitely flipped the script.
It's gonna be tough to keep that average up, Tay.
Yeah, if you do, I love our chances this year.
What did you make of Taven Jackson's performance? Again, he didn't have to do much through the air. 12 of 21, 189 yards, two rush touchdowns. Obviously, only played the first half there. What did you make of Taven's performance? And do you think he's done enough to earn a start in the third game against North Carolina?
Yeah, I think he has, and just for that reason, like he didn't have to do a whole lot, but he did what he was supposed to. Having the 2 rushing touchdowns, obviously we were running the ball all over the place. Him having 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe, and obviously Jaden and Miles and the other backs, but Jakari. So he did what he had to, and so you definitely continue to lean on him and continue to trust that he'll just kind of keep taking that step.
All right, I have a stat from that game I want to throw at you, and you tell me if this concerns you or not. So for passes 10 yards or less, Taven Jackson was essentially 9 of 10 on those. For passes basically 10 yards or over, he was 1 of 9. Does that concern you at all, the deep ball not being able to connect with receivers? I know there's a lot more than just Taven Jackson there, but does it concern you with basically being 1 of 9 on throws that traveled 10 yards or farther?
I would say not right now. Not yet. All right, let's see how he kind of progresses. Obviously, we have a bye, but that following week we come back. Let's see how he plays, and let's see if he takes a jump. It's still very early. It's this is real game, right? This isn't UCF on UCF, and so it doesn't concern me just yet.
Well, I'm really glad to have access to your football brain, Tay, because I want you to help me kind of reconcile something. Social media and a lot of the fans would tell you, if you ask them, what is the biggest concern with this team right now? A lot of folks would say offensive line. Specifically, they would say the running game, sort of the run blocking. But I look at the stats, UCF put up 356 yards of rushing on North Carolina A&T, averaged 11 yards a carry. Obviously, Jaden Nixon skews that a little bit, right? How do I reconcile the numbers I'm seeing here that are just off the charts, but people's kind of eye test telling them or having them feel like the running game still hasn't quite clicked yet, particularly as it relates to run blocking on the O-line?
Yeah, I think obviously, yeah, the numbers won't lie in a sense, but maybe they're kind of considering that first game, and then obviously now we have a huge breakout rushing game. So I think just staying consistent with it, right, getting those 4 yards a pop, if you will, when we need it. I'm sure it probably stands out a bit more when we need to run the rock, and we're not able to for fans. So. But again, I think, yeah, those numbers jump off the screen, but for us to continue to be consistent and be able to run the ball in situations where we need to, I would say, I think that's what's important. And I think if the fan is looking at it from that perspective, then base your concerns on that.
Are you seeing anything similar as you kind of look at the O-line and kind of break them down from a run block perspective? Do you have any concerns, again, with what you've seen through the first 2 weeks?
No, and especially the way we ran the ball. We had how many different rushers have a rushing touchdown? Jakari, Taven,
5.
Exactly. I'm not concerned at all.
No, sorry, 4. I lied. I can't count.
4. I'm not concerned at all. So no, not yet.
I talked to your former coach, George O'Leary, yesterday via text, and he told me something I want to get your thoughts on. Now, the good news is he can't hear this, so he can't yell at you, Latavia. So you can disagree with him if you want to. For the first time ever, you don't have to worry about him making you run like a 110 here. I asked him about the first couple of games. He said most early college games are mismatches. North Carolina game should be interesting standpoint on where this team stands. Do you agree with that premise that most of these kind of early games in college football are just a little bit of a kind of an unknown, a little bit of just of a crapshoot on what's going to happen?
Yeah. It's just you're kind of playing some teams that you may not be familiar with. These teams are, out of conference or whatever the case may be. So so I agree with him in that sense. It's like we said, you don't play these teams. Usually these aren't the teams you play, year in, year out. They're not in your conference and whatnot. So, so it kind of, we've already talked about this in the sense of there is a lot of unknowns going into these types of games. And so that's why you just want to come out of them. Obviously walking away with a win is huge, but then, what you can take and learn from to kind of see where your team is at.
You're a smart man, Latavia. Still agreeing with Coach O'Leary, because I'm sure in the back of your mind, you fear he's going to find you and make you do some sort of an up down or something if you don't.
He's right about this one.
Thoughts? Do you think you see more of a playbook open now that sort of the power games have started? Do you think that coaches hold some stuff back or don't put some stuff on film to wait to break it out as you kind of get now into your conference schedule?
Yeah. And I know we talked about this from the standpoint of like, so I would really have to know. Well, I do know there's a lot of plays that are installed from training camp on, right? You kind of go through the whole playbook, and you kind of, you end training camp for the most part. Towards the end of it is kind of your last little, maybe it's some trick plays, whatever. But you're installing your whole offense, and so those early on games, you're kind of doing your bread and butters, but every week in and week out, for one, okay, what is it that we do well? We start there. What is it that they're susceptible to kind of giving up, right? How have teams hurt them in the past? And do we have something that mirrors that, right? Is there something in our playbook? If not, is it something we could possibly add or tweak? Right. And so I think through film study, right, you kind of notice, are there some shots that we could take? Are they susceptible to some trick plays or reverse? Is that backside kind of wide open and we have a Philly special we can kind of attack them with? I think it is game plan week to week, depending on the opponent and kind of what you see. I'm not running Philly special just because it's the conference championship and it's the most important game. I'm running it because on film, it seems like they could be susceptible to giving that up.
Saturday, Tay, I'm in Burger U. I'm watching, waiting for the rain delay to subside, and the Gators and the Cows are playing on TV. And Latavius, the entire damn restaurant was rooting for the Cows, like up on their feet, cheering, like yelling, screaming. Like that to me sounds like a recipe for like arrest all those people, in my view. What do you make of UCF fans rooting for the Cows? I was shocked to see that.
I think that's the hatred for Florida Gators. That's what it sounds like to me. Look, I think I didn't want any team in Florida to win, and so I think that's just what it speaks. It speaks more volumes. I guess our fans hate Florida Gator fans more than UCF or USF. Sorry, so which is surprising to me, but that's all that's what that's telling.
But what is Latavius Murray, who has been part of that rivalry, who knows full well about 64-12? What would you have done in that situation to see people wearing black and gold cheering for the Cows?
Yeah. Look, it's tough. I gotta be honest. Because I would say in a lot of similarities, right? USF, UCF, right? Sure. We're trying to take it to where the Gators have been, right? And so I think also from that underdog standpoint, I feel a little bit of that too. Because when I saw the USF play the other night or 2 weeks ago, I said, man, it looked pretty good, looked pretty strong. And seeing that they had Florida on there, I said, man, I would love to see how they match up. And obviously they did. So there's that underdog part of it that you can't help but root for. But yeah, of course, when green is across from gold, man, we know what time it is.
We know what time it is. I like the Latavius Murray insight. The George O'Leary was right this time.
Yeah. No, he was looking around. You could tell he was looking around to make sure George wasn't going to walk into his place there. But again, the full interview, there's another 10-15 minutes of that conversation, and that happens each week. So if you're not a part of the Knights 247 family, head over to Knights247.com right now. Check out your membership options, figure out what it looks like. But you can get something like that from Latavius Murray each and every week, Trace. Which, to your point, he's always great. He's always got some good insight. Always tells some good stories as well, too. So much thanks to Robert and the group at 247 for letting us embargo that for you this evening. And again, check that out at Knights247.com.
Robert's probably in the chat room. Could I get a clarification? Is it Knights 24/7 or 247, or are both acceptable?
I didn't want to do this on air, but while we're here, you are actually mispronouncing the website.
No, that's fine. That's why I'm asking.
You call it Latavius Murray's Knights 247. It's Knights 247 with Latavius Murray.
Okay. All right.
And not, as we learned,
a sponsor of the Sons of UCF postgame show, which you can find on the Suns YouTube channel.
Or as Matthew Turman called it, Latavius Knights 247. That's also not the correct way to pronounce it.
So I was closer.
You were definitely closer. You get the close to the pin award tonight.
We appreciate Latavius' support, and I agree with him on green over there. Bring back ties. You cannot root for them.
So this is a true story. Weekend. The place is going kind of crazy, right? I think you would already left at this point. Place is going kind of crazy. I mean, people are kind of cheering, and I'm kind of looking around like, what am I witnessing here? And the guy next to me kind of looks at me, and I think he has the same bewilderment, like, what's happening here? And he goes, I don't know, man. Like, what are you rooting for? And I said, a sinkhole. It's the only answer I had, Trace.
A weather delay that lasts for a long time. Yeah. May have been a bye week, but the 1-2 punch of the Pegasus podcast and Around the Kingdom out now on Suns YouTube. Here are some highlights.
I just had a quizzical look on my face. So I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but is this one of those situations where they say the group is better than the sum of its parts? Does that apply here? Is that the saying? I don't even know if that's the saying, but
I gotta tell you, the whole sum of its parts thing, that's one of those sayings that people throw around a lot. I want to hand up, I've never really fully understood it. I don't use it in my life.
It does. I mean, logically, it doesn't make sense, but
greater than the sum of your parts. I really, it's like speaking a different language to me. I've never understood this.
Okay. FCS goes, the argument they'll tell you is, hey, we need these games because this helps invest for our athletic department. That's your problem. Not my problem. That would be like me asking you, Trace, hey, Trace, can you pay the mortgage to my house? I really need help, and I'll allow you to punch me in the face, but just pay for my mortgage. Like, what is that? It doesn't benefit anybody.
Come on, show of hands. Who hasn't at some point wanted to punch Eric Lopez?
Why were you punching him in the
face?
I was so confused during that. Why you were paying his mortgage, and then on top of
and then I punched him in the
you
face.
get to
What am
punch
I,
him
a
in the
violent
face. I
person
don't-
with a lot of money? What is happening?
It sounds like you might be. I'm not really sure what's happening there.
You can catch all of that and more on Sons YouTube. Also, Nick Williams speaking with UCF baseball head coach Rich Wallace. That full interview has dropped as well. All right, temperature check time on men's and women's soccer. Got some late updates, but tell us about temperature check.
Yeah, Trace, it's an app created by some Knight alumni, and it's not just about you. It's about your circle, Trace. And if you're watching the game, maybe you're having
Nobody's going to hang out with me if I'm punching them in the nose.
Well, they might if you had temp check, because they would understand that maybe Trace is a little heated right now, right? And that's why they built temp check. It's an app that keeps your circle connected, motivated, and real. Whether you're celebrating a win, pushing through a week, or trying to dodge Trace Choco from punching you in the face, temp check makes sure your people are right there with you. Download temp check today, available in all your app stores. It's not just an app, it's a movement.
Women's soccer, Hanako Hamano with a second half goal, Ainsley Moy with a PK, and women's soccer wins up in your neck of the woods. They beat North Florida 2-0 moments ago, improved to 6-1 in non-conference play. Hey, it's fast. We get right to conference play, begins against West Virginia coming up on Thursday, September 18th at 7 o'clock at the UCF Soccer Complex. Men's soccer, Jem Hewlett, first goal of the season just before halftime, said that's not enough, gets his second goal in the second half. Knights up on Jacksonville 2-0. They're looking to move to 2-3-1. And this is their final non-conference game. Sun Belt play begins at number 18, Kentucky, Friday, September 19th at 7:30 p.m. So a short non-con schedule, and they get right into conference play. Volleyball, 5-1. They beat Stetson, beat FIU, lost close to Miami in 3 sets. They're 5-1. They are back home. Arkansas State Friday, FAU Saturday, Brown on Sunday, and then Big 12 play begins. A big contract note, softball. Coach Bear, contract extension. The 8th year she's been with UCF. That's just going to get a couple more. 2-year extension from Athletics Director Terry Mahajer. 251, how's this sound, Adam? 251, 129, and 3. 340 win seasons, 3 conference championships, 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 1 super regional. Not bad. Not bad. That's what you want, right? When we've polled people, when we've talked about it in the offseason, pretty much comes out on top as the best coach on campus, don't you think?
And it's not a hot take to say that softball is probably acclimated the best to moving to the Big 12 of all the sports in play. And obviously, when you've had success like Coach Bear has had, other schools are going to come knocking on the door. So smart of Terry Mahajer to lock Cindy up for another couple seasons here. I know she loves it here in Orlando. She loves having this team, loves having her family here. So good to see that someone who wants to be here is able to stay here for a little bit of time. And hopefully we'll continue to skyrocket that softball program.
Wants to be here and is successful. A no-brainer for Terry Mahajer and staff to anchor to a 2-year contract extension. So at Burger U for the game against North Carolina A&T, talked with Brian W. Peterson's family, and there's some talk now about renaming this segment from Mailbag to Mail Time. What do you think? The Mail Time segment.
Well,
that's what the family seems to think it's called. They don't tune in every week.
I don't think my family's ever seen an episode of this entire program here. That's up to Brian, because in theory, if he's willing to redo this, Trace, then I'll call whatever he wants.
So it's a mailbag. So what?
So what? Do you know whose mailbag that is?
It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
Hi, fellas.
If he wants to call it the Brian Peterson Sons of UCF mailbox, the mail sack, whatever he wants to call it, if he wants to call it a new sounder, I will happily roll it here as this opens.
Brian, we need some fresh material. At Golden Knight _ the second. Are you sold on Jackson being the starter going forward, or is there still a quarterback competition going into the UNC game? Let's pair that with at CSG _ UCF. Is there a chance Scott Frost gets Gus Malzahn syndrome and reverts back to Fancher as the starter for the UNC game? He left open the door, didn't he, in post-game following North Carolina A&T? And, of course, no availability this week. What percentage do you put that at? You were at 65 on Terry Mahajer being here in 2030. What percentage do you put Taven Jackson starter against North Carolina?
95%.
95%.
95%.
If Cam Fancher is cleared to play, and we don't know how he's doing from a health standpoint, does that change your percentages?
I don't think so. Look, I think Latavia said it well. I think Taven's come in. He's had essentially 4 quarters of football. We've seen 4 quarters of tape from him. The offense has obviously looked pretty solid. I think I think we're in the same boat we were in 2 weeks ago, right? But before the first game, I think Taven's going to get first crack at keeping this job. Now, if something doesn't work, it's not clicking, the offense is struggling, whatever, I think all bets are off. Are they off the table? Are they on the table? I'm pulling a Christian here or Bailey. I'm not sure where the bets are at, but if it's not clicking for Taven, you may see Cam Fancher, get loose on the sideline, Jakari Brown get loose on the sideline. So to answer CSG's question, I think this competition goes all season long. I don't know that Scott Frost ever stands in front of the podium and pounds the podium, knocks that Coke bottle off and says, so-and-so is my starter. I don't think we're getting that this season.
So Cam Fancher gets injured and loses his job.
No, Cam Fancher was part of a quarterback competition of which one of the major components is being able to stay on the field. He wasn't able to do so. Taven Jackson comes in, plays well. Cam Fancher had one half of football where he didn't play so well. You look at those two things together and you go, I'm going to go Taven Jackson.
At UCF, Knights win Jacksonville State with a convincing victory over what is considered a solid Liberty team. Does it make the case, that UCF got a good win in that one?
Welcome to college football, where context is usually needed, but never appreciated or provided. But yes, Liberty obviously is a school that typically is the power school in that conference. Their head coach, Jamie Chadwell, was on the short list of coaches that many thought was going to come to UCF before Scott Frost got here. So I do think that's a solid win and maybe add some context. But again, is this hot take central around here in college football? We have no time for context.
At UCF, given all the biases and subjectivity of college football polls, would you be in favor of letting artificial intelligence rank teams based on pure data, or do you believe the eye test of human pollsters is necessary? Let me ask before you answer that question. Do you use AI for work or other purposes?
Not as much as probably you would think. I mean, sometimes I'll just fact check like, hey, what's an acronym for this or something, but not as often as I probably should.
What's your confidence in it? On fact checking,
depends what I'm looking for. I mean,
it's no Wikipedia.
That's fair. When you Google something, that's the first thing that comes up now is the AI overview, right? So, but here's the thing: this AI model, wasn't that the BCS? Weren't we using these computers to give us like scores and rankings and whatnot? And so we kind of already did this AI modeling thing in some respects with the BCS. So if what UCF is asking is there some way to think about the BCS model and an AI type model plus a human element involved? Because I don't think that was included in the old BCS, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's the sweet spot, but we already did this with the BCS, and everybody hated that because they said, I don't want computers deciding it. I need real coaches in the room who have been there on the field and had their hand in the grass. And now we have that, and now we want to go back to AI. So what are you going to do?
How about these coaches polls? How many games are they watching? How about the writers poll? I mean, Matt Michelle's an AP voter. He's up in the press box. I know he may go back and study I'm not throwing him under the bus. He may study the box scores and things, but he's not watching these games all day. He's busy working on the UCF coverage. So,
a social media this week blew up over a pollster who moved UF up 3 spots after their loss and didn't have USF or the Cows ranked. So,
what was the justification? Do you know? Was there
I listened to her and she basically just said, I don't want to talk about my process, which means I didn't screw it up and I don't want to talk about it. So that's typically where that's
Riley Carey 16. Does Jay Nixon remind you of Adrian Killens and his speed?
Yeah, speed, maybe.
Speed.
Jaden's bigger than AK. I mean, I haven't seen them, back to back or whatnot, but I think Jaden appears to be bigger than AK. So speed wise, maybe, but I feel like Adrian Killens had a gear that like 0 to 60 was just like incredible. And I think Jaden's got the top end speed, but I think that first like 10, 15 yards, I don't think anyone I saw was faster than AK in a UCF uniform.
AK now part of the ESPN Plus pregame coverage of UCF home football games at Leo Sportive. Hey, that sounds familiar. OG Leo paved the way for internships. Leo.
He's got his own logo, by the way.
He does have his own logo.
Way to go, Leo.
That's pretty good. Leo, reach out to me. I need a logo, a new logo. Now that preseason is over, based on what you've seen in the first 2 games, what are the expectations versus UNC? They haven't looked their best, but that gets to his next point. Can fans just grasp college football is ridden with parity and inconsistency? Great deal more parity, that's for certain, with the salaries for players, so being a little more leveled, NIL aside.
Leo,
what do you think the line's going to be in this one? UCF favored, North Carolina playing Richmond, a little bit of a tune-up game. They didn't beat Charlotte very impressively coming after the debacle against TCU, 20-3 over Charlotte. Charlotte's no world beater, right?
Yeah,
3 points
UCF should be fair. Yeah, 3 points is typically the line just because you're the home team. So depending on how they look against Richmond, maybe tack a point or two on there at that point. But I think UCF favorite. I think 3 is probably the minimum just based on them being the home team. But Leo, I know you're in grad school now and you're doing a bunch of good stuff academically. That's way too nuanced to take to fly. People aren't going to have time for that. I mean, we need hot takes. We need information. We need that now. So I appreciate all the studying you've been doing, Leo, but that's not how we do this thing here in college football. We react instantly and we get mad about everything.
Leo, good to see you. We got a cluster of questions here. That's hard to say.
Yes.
At Benny Boy 44, when will Timo, being Terry Mahadra, start leaning into UCF culture that made us great? Not scheduling the cows. That's really not his decision per se, right? They don't have openings on their schedule. Not instilling the rivalry has led to current students cheering for their success on campus. I agree with you there. Unacceptable. We need an AD that bleeds black and gold. Brian W. Peterson, what is wrong with some UCF fans cheering on the cows, not me? And Lonely B UCF Mario, he's got a little parable here. Ditch my ex for someone much better in every way than her, and she just broke the heart of my arch nemesis. Should I laugh at the dude or continue to dwell on the past? Completely unrelated to Brian's question. JP Gilbert, how great is it that our fan base hates a similarly situated school more than a G6 Cinderella on the verge of their carriage turning into a pumpkin any day now?
I'm not sure which
one. You were in the room. You were at Burger U. How did you feel? Did you expect that?
Not sure which one to answer there. Yeah, again, I was rooting for a sinkhole. Like that's literally what I was rooting for.
Did you expect it? Were you surprised?
I mean, the Gators were playing terrible, right? So no, I mean, I think you saw the way Florida was playing. They were making too many mistakes down the stretch.
The reaction.
Yes, I was shocked. I was shocked that people. I understand that you maybe root for the underdog, and in a game get close like that, you want to root for the team. But like people were standing and clapping and cheering.
How would you describe the demographics in the room at the time? What was that? That's not an older fan that would hate.
It was. Man, it was a good mix, Trace. It was because this was peak rain delay. So everybody and their grandmother packed into Burger U. There had to be a fire marshal violation. The amount of people that were in Burger U at that moment in time, everybody was in there. So it had to be a mixed bag. I guess my stance is like I'm more apathetic to the cows. I don't think about them. They're not part of my life. I don't really have them as any. So like I was watching that game with an apathy around like, wow, is this really going to happen? But to the out and out cheering, I think was a surprise to me. I've kind of moved past them, and I take the JP Gilbert stances. That's in the rearview mirror, and I'm driving forward at this point. I was just surprised that I thought the emotion would be apathy, and it was more so excitement and cheering and rooting for them to win. And that was just a weird something about that. Just doesn't feel like.
Who are you?
Yeah,
who are you? Message us. What was the rationale? And who are you rooting for this weekend when they play Miami?
It's a great question. Sinkhole again, but now you kind of need Miami to win, right? Because cows are getting a little bit too mouthy. Like I don't need to see Alex Gold.
It's not a conference loss yet.
Yeah, so they're getting a little mouthy here, and we all know the cows typically do this, where they're going to at some point fall off the rails. So, and as much as I don't want to see, that one shenanigans guy in my Twitter talking about Miami, I kind of think I might want to
Kane.
I might want to say we don't say.
He's a big fan of yours.
He's a big fan of yours, so that's the problem. Which is the only reason you tolerate him, by the way. But I think I got to go Miami.
At Charged on Sports, fun question. I don't consider this next question dubbed a fun question. Now that we know the time for the UNC game, 3:30 a week from Saturday, should we start preparing for the hurricane now or later? See, that's terrible. That's terrible.
You won't see this. I sometimes write down just a quick answer when these questions, and my answer next to that is get out.
And if so, what is the one thing you always keep on hand during a storm?
Well, I mean, responsibly, probably batteries, like a flashlight. Irresponsibly, maybe a Corona or two.
At Black Gold _ is Belichick taking his girlfriend to Disney before or after the game? That's terrible.
I'd say after.
If we see her up in the press box, because adjacent to the press box is where the athletic director and team personnel might be. You think she might give me a thanks for watching Sons of UCF? Would that be a good one? You'd like that one, wouldn't you?
That's a great question. What's more likely, that happening or Billy Napier being around in 2030 in Florida? As I think those two things are probably both on the very low end of that.
You know who could pull it off? Andrew
Jericho could. Absolutely.
Andrew Jericho can pull it off. Yeah, you get a little wink in the eye and she'll melt. And
those dimples and a smile have her melting in no time. Yeah.
That's Scott Leonard. What do you guys think our chances are starting 4-0? Stop it. Stop it with all that.
50%, I guess, at this point, right? So
no. At UCF_Zach always puts a lot of creative thought into the questions. Is the Space Game jersey reveal a UCF version of Puxatawny Phil? If the jersey, little poem here. If the jersey is shown during the bye, 5 straight losses draw nigh. But if they stay hidden from sight, will UCF charge on to victory's light? More importantly, will Frost wear the astronaut costume? I don't think he would want to do it, but I could see him doing something, mainly because of his kids. I think his kids would enjoy seeing Dad dressed up, and he might do it because of that. I don't think he wants
0% chance Scott Frost dons an astronaut costume. 1, I just don't think he wants that in his life. 2, Gus did that. I think we need something different. So I hope we don't even ask him to don some sort of an astronaut costume. But if for some reason somebody did, I fully suspect him to say no. But maybe something, maybe a promo of some sort, maybe wearing the Space U gear, something like that. But I think if someone knocks on his door with an astronaut costume, they better be prepared to run in the other direction.
At UCF Knights win, you pay good money to go to a Metallica concert is the premise. When you get there, Paul Rubelt and Ryan Swoboda are standing up in the row right in front of you. What's your next move? I sent that to Ryan Swoboda earlier today and got his reaction. He goes, that actually happened. He says, the nice people behind us couldn't see, so we moved to the back so we weren't blocking anyone.
Wow. What a
Directly
guy.
from Ryan Swoboda.
I saw Ryan at the game on Saturday. He shook his hand, said hello quickly during a downpour of rain there. I wrote, just enjoy the sound because there's no chance you're getting around those two. So just sit down and enjoy the sound and, maybe put your phone out and try to film it from the side or something. But there's 0% chance that's working out for you.
I just love the two of them went to the Metallica concert. I love the visual of that. All right, that is the mailbag, and you're up to ask the embarrassing, put me on the spot question.
This was a prop. I don't even know.
Are you out of questions?
I've got 3 in here. All right.
This is from our friends at Alumni Hall that sponsor this segment.
Well, you know what? All right, I got 2 options here. Pick right hand or left hand.
No, I'm not going to like any of it.
All right, so right hand it is. Yeah, what is one fashion trend that you rocked back in the day that you now regret?
Do you think I have ever been fashionable and trend setting?
I'm not saying that you were trendy. I'm just saying, but everybody was wearing it. So you got one too. And now you're like, why did I wear that?
Can I go off the board and say back when my hair was a little fuller, I had highlights? How about that?
Tell me more.
No. You always lean in with that. Tell me more. And you get me to run my mouth for another 3 minutes and get myself into trouble.
Blonde highlights?
I don't know.
Maybe you don't know. What color highlights?
No, I don't know on fashion. I don't know.
Oh. Okay, well, we moved off that. Now
blonde,
you've given me this.
Blonde,
I'm here.
Blonde.
So did you dye your entire hair blonde, or did you just literally do the frosted tip situation?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was 2 questions. You said yes to that. I don't know which one you're saying yes to. I'm going to need an answer here.
No, it wasn't a complete blonde.
Wasn't a complete blonde.
No,
okay.
No.
And this was when? Give me circa what, 2000?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I've got some pictures I'd have to dig out somewhere.
This like people.
It was probably in the Backstreet Boy.
People. I too had the frosted tips. I went full blonde at some point, but actually my answer is a combination of these here. Cargo shorts.
Oh, I still wear cargo shorts.
That's were jorts. There's a picture of me.
No,
Yes.
Never.
Me, UCF Mike, and a few of our friends at the Citrus Bowl. We're standing up at the high part of the stadium, and I'm wearing a pair of cargo jean shorts that could probably fit you, me, and the 3 other people inside of them because they were baggy and big and long. And so that's probably the one fashion thing that I look back and go, jorts. Cargo shorts. I don't have enough cargo by which to fill all the pockets necessary. Like, I don't have this much cargo. Who has all the cargo in the world to fill all the pockets that come with cargo shorts? Who are you people? Announce yourselves to us, because I'm not sure where all this cargo is coming from.
Yeah, I guess I had cargo shorts, so I guess that one's still.
But you said you still have. I don't think I didn't hear that. You still have cargo shorts.
I haven't worn them lately. Wait until they're coming in. Wait until they're fashionable. What else would fall into this category of things? Because maybe.
Well, there was the Robert bringing up the crisscross era. Do you? By the way, I'm sorry. I have to go back to something earlier, and I just did a fact check this. No, I'm going back to. You're not stopping me now. Tay Gowan told me that. You told us rather that he would be played by Little Bow Wow.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh yeah, I see it." Do you have any clue who Little Bow Wow is?
A rapper.
Could you point him out of a lineup? If I put a picture up right now,
he was in Fast and the Furious.
So yes,
which is the same movie, all 12 of them.
All over again. Yes. Okay, so you do know Little Bow Wow.
Yeah. While Latavius Murray was talking, I Googled, I read his bio. I recognized him. I've seen one Fast and Furious movie. And I was not familiar with his work with Chris Brown.
You see them all. Matt Dolan, did you wear Cavariccis back in the day?
I don't know what that is.
There were the baggy pants that had like the white like logo thingy like right on the zipper part of it.
No,
definitely rock some Cavariccis back in the day. Jenko, were you a Jenko guy?
I don't know what that is.
What did you wear? What were you doing?
Clothes. I told you I wasn't fashionable.
What's your?
Did you change shirts from your Latavius Murray? You changed.
I did. I mean, it's 9/11 today, right? So I was into the patriotic thing here. So we went to the and all fit, and that was recorded way early this morning, in between some work meetings I had. So that was more of my work attire than it was my spiffy podcast attire here. Where do you like if today's world, you decide, hey, I need a pair of shorts. Where are you going?
All right. We want to thank Tay Gowan, Latavius Murray. I'm not playing Where Do I Shop? I don't like shopping.
Just curious.
No, we're not playing Where Do I Shop? But people have seen me. No. I know Zuba pants, the zebra pants. No,
you didn't wear the Zubas?
No.
Yeah, the NFL like Zuba, like the Dan Marinos back in the day.
No.
Zuba hammer pants.
No. Regular pants. Regular pants. Khakis. Do khakis count? I wore a lot of khakis whenever that was popular.
Were they baggy?
No.
So you're not a slim fit guy, are you?
We began the show by talking about the new Open, that I look like I need to lose a few pounds, which really needed to occur for football season.
Poor Mark Soskin wants to talk football so badly. And here we are rambling on about fashion, Mark. We appreciate. What's your question? We're going to learn more about stock to box run. Yeah, I mean, listen, there are still some things to I as much as I like what I saw against Taven, I think the jury's still out. That's why I don't think this competition's over. So there's a little bit more football talk.
I got lit up in the comments on YouTube on Around the Kingdom for suggesting that we just don't see Ja'Cory throw. And I'm not suggesting that he is going to be different than what we have seen previously from him. I just didn't need to see him run. I know he can run.
I think it's an unfair question, though, Trace, because I was going to respond to those, but sometimes I don't know who I'm responding to and why waste my energy. But we've heard all off season from Mackenzie Milton and Scott Frost that he's improved there. He's made a lot of strides in that.
I would have liked to have seen some throws.
Is that the case? Like, did he improve and make strides there? Is this offense better suited for him to make throws versus what Gus was asking him to do? Like, can they scheme things up that make throws easier, different windows for Ja'Cory? So I actually would be curious because we heard he's improved there. So I would have loved to have seen if that improvement actually did take shape, but maybe we'll have to wait now till a conference game or maybe on Saturday. Who knows?
Against North Carolina. Of course, we'll have complete coverage leading up to the North Carolina game beginning next week on all of your Sun shows. I want to thank Tay Gowan, Latavius Murray, all of you for being with us. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trace Strelko. Go Knights!
John.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Ryan the Scholar, and I want to thank you for watching the Sons of UCF.
The most famous man on campus right now.
Is your daughter happy? Did you tell your daughter we got him on the show?
She's seen that. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any idea who that is, but he is a campus celebrity. All of the young people who work with us, all the interns have been begging us to have him on the show and take pictures with him and know him. And so I don't know if anybody knows who the heck that is, but campus celebrity.
Orion the Scholar. Is that correct?
That is correct. Orion the Scholar. THA, the Scholar.
Okay. Thanks for being with us, everybody.